Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Deepanjali Arora. I'm a Vedic astrologer, a tarot reader and a healer. So today I'm going to discuss about the upcoming solar eclipse which is happening on 10th of June 2021. But before we begin, do remember to like, share and subscribe to my channel so that you do not miss out on any notifications. And if you want to have a personal consultation done, then my details are mentioned in the description below and also flashing on your screen as of now. So first, let's understand what the solar eclipse is all about. Now, why does that occur and what does that mean for us? I will be taking you through all the ascendants from Aries till Pisces. During the course of their orbit, when Sun, Moon and Earth form a straight line and Moon comes in between Earth and Sun, completely blocking the rays of Sun coming towards the Earth, solar eclipse is said to occur. So this is a phenomena which is happening on 10th of July. Now, what's happening with this eclipse is that it's happening in the sign of Taurus at 25 degrees in Mrigashirina Nakshatra. This nakshatra is ruled by Mars. So Mars will also have an impact on the results of the solar eclipse. Now, this will be visible in India. No, it will not be visible in India, but it's through via IST time. It's starting at 1:42 p.m. and it will be visible to people till 6:41 p.m. And where all it will be visible, it will be in Russia, it will be in Canada, Siberia, also North Pole and Greenland. Now, the most interesting thing about this solar eclipse is that it's the only eclipse which is happening in this century, which will be partially visible in the North Pole. Isn't that interesting, right? Moon is covering almost 94% of Sun's energy to come towards us. So the Sun will appear like this ring of fire. So this eclipse is also called as ring of fire, but it is advisable not to look at the eclipse directly when it is happening because it's very damaging for the eyes. Sun, new moon, Mercury and Rahu are part of this eclipse, which I have already mentioned is happening in Mrigashira Nakshatra in the sign of Taurus at 25 degrees. So what does that mean? So if you have planet placed within 3 degrees of this 25 degrees, that means starting from say 22 degrees till 28 degrees of Taurus, then you will feel the impact of this eclipse most intensely. Now, when the solar eclipse is the beginning of a complete wipeout of a plan in a certain area of your life, from where you have to start again. Since the eclipse is happening in Mrigashira, and the ruler of the Mrigashira, which is Mars, it is debilitated in the sign of Cancer. So during the time of this eclipse, these new beginnings will have a lot of obstacles and false starts. It's not a good time to begin anything, so you have to keep things under wrap. The impact of this eclipse will be for 6 months till the new solar eclipse happens in the month of November this year. Who are the people who will be most impacted by this solar eclipse? All the people having a Taurus rising or Scorpio rising, or their moon sign is either one of these two signs. People having the Mahadasha of Sun, Rahu or Mercury will feel the impact more intensely. Now let's study the eclipse through all the signs. But first, you need to know what is your rising sign and moon sign. And as I have told earlier in my previous videos, in case you don't know what these signs are, and of course this is sidereal calculation, it is done via Vedic astrology, and these calculations are different than Western astrology. So in case you do not know your signs, you can write to me mentioning your date, place, and time of birth. My email ID is right now flashing on your screen. You tell me those details and I'll write back to you with what all the details with your birth chart and your details. So you will know what is your rising sign and your moon sign. And also I do daily readings on Instagram. So do check that out as well. You might find something interesting there. So let's begin. Let's begin with Aries. So for the ascendant and moon sign of Aries, which is denoted by this number 1, which you can see on the screen, this means Aries. So wherever 1 is mentioned in your birth chart, that's the sign of Aries, right? So if Aries is in this first house or moon is placed in this number 1, that's when you have to listen to this prediction. Now for Aries, the eclipse, solar eclipse is happening in the second house where Sun, Moon, Rahu and Mercury are together. And as I mentioned, the eclipse is happening in the sign of Mrigashira, and which is ruled by Mars. Mars is sitting in the 4th house and it is aspected by Saturn. Now let's understand, what does that mean? It's happening in the second house. It's the house of your financial planning, savings and resources. There could be a sudden expense or a loss of income. Be careful before you sign any documentations. Surprising events may happen which you will not be able to control. Could also relate to some discord in close family circles. You will also look at beginning some new work which will be beneficial to you in the long run, but not immediately. You will not see the benefit effects of it immediately. Things will unfold in coming 6 months when the new solar eclipse will happen in the month of November this year. Since the dispositor of this eclipse, which is Mars, is debilitated in the 4th house, factors relating to your mother and property will become important. You will feel very frustrated since Saturn is aspecting Mars. Solutions will come, but that will happen slowly. Take time to think through your financial decisions you may have to make during this time, especially during the month of June. That could be a more, challenging. June would be a more challenging month than the preceding months. Now let's see what are the placements for the sign of Taurus. Now for Taurus ascendant and moon sign, this which is denoted by this number 2 in your birth sign. 2 means Taurus. So wherever your moon is there, you should read. You will know that it is in Taurus if it's written in number 2. All right. So the eclipse is happening in the ascendant, that is the 1st house. That means Sun, Rahu, Mercury, and Moon are placed in the 1st house, and the dispositor of the nakshatra where the eclipse is happening, Mars, is placed in the 3rd house, aspected by Saturn in the 9th house. Now, what does that mean? Since this eclipse is happening in your ascendant, this is all about rethinking your life's priorities. You will be interested in taking care of yourself, changing your diet, medication, using holistic healing methods, anything which makes you feel healthy and fresh, because Mercury is also involved in this eclipse. But it will take some time to take off. All these changes won't happen immediately or overnight. It will take its own time. You will have the necessary information to build your financial security. Mars, the ruler of Mrigashira, is in your 3rd house, aspected by Saturn. Don't be in a hurry to accomplish anything. Have some patience. You will either feel very confident about things or you will have doubts for the direction that you need to take. So give it time at least till 19th of July when Mars is transiting from Cancer to Leo, which is a better sign for Mars. Relationships with your friends and siblings might also be strained during this time, especially your younger siblings. Right? Now let's see what's happening with Gemini. For Gemini ascendant and moon sign, which is denoted by this number 3 over here in your horoscope. So wherever 3, if your moon is in number 3, then it's a Gemini moon, right? So this eclipse is happening in your 12th house. That means Rahu, Mercury, Sun and Moon are placed in the 12th house, and the dispositor of the nakshatra is placed in your 2nd house, which is Mars, and it is aspected by Saturn from the 8th house. Now, what does that mean? This eclipse is happening in your 12th house. You have to be very careful about sudden big expenses, which you might have to do. It is time to release and let go of some, It is time to release and let go of some work-related issue which you have been dealing with for some time now. Since your Lagan Lord Mercury is also part of the eclipse, you might receive some important information, mostly in your dreams. So I suggest that you keep a dream journal because it will be very insightful for you and eye-opening. This eclipse could bring in some involvement with foreign land or foreign people. You will have a need for seclusion so that you can reflect upon your life. So this is a very good time for you, Geminis, to reflect upon where you want to go and where you have arrived. This will give you a sudden clarity and epiphany about the direction of your life. The Lord of this nakshatra, the Lord of Mrigashira, which is Mars, where this eclipse is happening, is debilitated with Saturn aspecting it, right? So be careful about expenses and do some financial planning. Get help if you need. The changes you make now will have a long-term impact. Now let's see what's happening with Cancer Lagna and rising. Now, for all those who have their moon sign or ascendant in Cancer, which is denoted by number 4, the eclipse is happening in their 11th house, where Rahu, Mercury, Sun and Moon are in the 11th house. The dispositor of the nakshatra where this eclipse is happening, which is Mrigashira, it's in your ascendant, and it is Mars is also aspected by Saturn. Now, let's put it all together. What does this mean? Since this eclipse is happening in your 11th house, there are some projects that you have been working on that you will have to let go of now. Something new and more beneficial will take its place. There could be shifts and changes in your network circle as well. Some old friends and contacts might suddenly reappear in your life, but this time around, you will deal with them very differently. And that will be very well beneficial for you as well. You will have to take a very different or a daring approach related to your job or your children. Financial security will slowly increase. Mars, the ruler of Mrigashira, where eclipse is happening, is debilitated in your first house, aspected by Saturn. You may have to make some changes as far as your health and diet is concerned. There could be tensions with your spouse or partners. Remember, since Saturn is retrograde, many old wounds might come up and many old issues you might have to deal with, and they will need your attention. You will need to control your anger and frustration till Mars is in the sign of Cancer, which is till 19th of July 2021. Now let's see what's happening with Leo. For Leo ascendant and moon sign, which is denoted by number 5 in your horoscope, this eclipse is happening in the 10th house. And the dispositor of the eclipse, dispositor of the nakshatra of eclipse, which is Mars, it's placed in your 12th house and it is aspected by Saturn from the 6th house. Now, what does that mean for Leos? Since this eclipse is happening in your 10th house, there are changes happening in your work front. Many of you will start your own thing, and that means start your own business. Or you could also change jobs. And not only that, you might change your career as well. New sources of income and also fame for some of you is also on the cards until the next solar eclipse, which is happening in the month of November. But you might have to let go of something that you have been pinning for. Time for a new direction in work is here. Some of you might get opportunities abroad since Mars is sitting in your 12th house, which is the ruler of the Mrigashira nakshatra where this eclipse is happening. Some unexpected changes can happen. For some of you might buy property in the foreign land or a property which is away from home. But since Saturn is expecting Mars, this will move slowly. These changes are not going to happen overnight. Be extra careful about your health, as some old chronic ailments might revisit you again. Now let's move on to Virgo ascendant and moon sign. For all those who have Virgo in their ascendant or they have a moon sign, which is denoted by number 6 in your horoscope, the eclipse is happening in your 9th house. And the dispositor of the nakshatra Mars is placed in your 11th house as aspected by Saturn, which is in your 5th house. Now let's put it all together. What does that mean for all the Virgos out there? Now, since this eclipse is happening in your 9th house and your Lagan Lord, which is Mercury, is the part of this eclipse, this is the time for a complete turnaround in the direction of your life. This is a very, very important eclipse for you, as this will have long-term consequences. Your father will go through some major changes which might have an element of surprise to it. Those in education may choose entirely different field from what they have wanted to do earlier. This will be very beneficial for you in long run. This change is good, my dear Virgos. For some of you, your religious beliefs and spiritual beliefs might get revolutionized. By the next solar eclipse, you might meet a guru or a teacher which will open your eyes to a completely different world or a completely different reality. Your father or your teachers might help you gain important insights about the direction that you need to take. Mars, the ruler of Mrigashira, where the eclipse is happening, is in the 11th house. You will get a lot of help from your network circles, but there could be some discord there as well. Now, Saturn is aspecting Mars, so you will feel the results of this eclipse are coming very slowly, but they will happen. Now, let's see what's happening with Libra moon and ascendant. Now, for Libra ascendant or moon sign, which is denoted by number 7 in the horoscope, the eclipse is happening in your 8th house. And the dispositor of the nakshatra Mrigashira, which is Mars, is placed in your 4th house, which is aspected by, is placed in your 10th house, aspected by Saturn, which is placed in your 4th house. Now, let's put it all together. What does that mean for all the Librans out there? This eclipse is happening in your 8th house, which is the house of occult study. Some of you will be starting a new course in that to gain more knowledge, right? But most of you will be very interested in to know the secrets of the universe and will be interested to gain knowledge in these fields. This will give you great insights, and also for some of you, it is a career opportunity. It's time to make some important decisions about your financial investments. You may have to make some major cutbacks now. Family finances need to be redone. If you are in a business, then some projects that you have been very hopeful about, you will have to let go of them. This in your finances you are making right now will show results in the long run by the time next solar eclipse happens in the month of November. Some of you might get inheritance or money from a totally unexpected source. Mars, the ruler of Mrigashira, where eclipse is happening, is in your 10th house, which is good news for work. You will have renewed focus in your career. Since Saturn is aspecting Mars, things might take a little bit more effort, but it will bring back old clients which you have written off earlier, and it will pay off. Now let's move on to Scorpio Lagna and Moon. For Scorpio ascendant and moon sign, which is denoted by number 8 in your horoscope, the eclipse is happening in the 7th house. And the dispositor of the nakshatra in which this eclipse is happening, Mars, is placed in your 9th house, aspected by Saturn from the 3rd house. What does that mean for Scorpio Lagna and moon rising? This eclipse is happening in the 7th house. It will bring about major changes in relationships with your spouse and partners. Some hidden truths will be revealed, which may be difficult to accept or understand. This could create tensions in the relationships. Your relationships with family, friends, and co-workers will also undergo some changes. You need to be more patient and listen to what others have to say. For some, the relationships might end, but there is a need for more cooperation and understanding from your side, or you will feel very isolated. Those in business, some ideas or projects need to be completely dropped, since as of now, you will not be able to get the necessary investment and support. But something new is about to begin now before the next solar eclipse, which will happen in the month of November, which will give you a new lease of life to your work with long-term benefits. Mars, the ruler of Mrigashira, where the eclipse is happening, is in your 9th house of higher learnings, aspected by Saturn. Father's health will be a cause of concern. Your long-distance travel plans might not take off as planned. Could be some tensions with siblings, but things will relax post 19th of July 2021. Now let's see what's happening with the Sagittarius Lagna and Moon. For Sagittarius ascendant and moon sign, which is denoted by number 9 in the horoscope, the eclipse is happening in the 6th house. And the dispositor of the nakshatra Mars is placed in your 8th house, aspected by Saturn from the 2nd house. Now let's put it all together. Since this eclipse is happening in your 6th house, take extra precautions about your health. Take proper consultation from experts and focus on improving your health. You will need to follow a very holistic approach. For those involved in litigations, things will get resolved by the time the next solar eclipse happens in the month of November this year, or you might have to cut your losses and move on. For those in education, you guys will be able to fare well in competitive exams. Some of you might change jobs. Time to discuss your problems which you normally don't with your spouse and business partners. You will receive the help and support that you require. Mars, the ruler of Mrigashira Nakshatra, where the eclipse is happening, is in your 8th house, aspected by Saturn. A lot of interest in occult knowledge will be renewed during this time. You need to be careful about your finances and put a proper plan in place. For some, there will be a possibility of inheritance coming their way. Now let's move on to Capricorn ascendant and moon sign. Now for Capricorn ascendant and moon sign, which is denoted by number 10 in your chart, this eclipse is happening in your 5th house. And the dispositor of the nakshatra Mars is placed in your 7th house, aspected by Saturn from your 1st house. What does that bring? The eclipse is happening in your 5th house. You are ready to take risks. You might find some resistance in starting your new creative projects. And for those in romantic relationships, there will be big changes coming. This is a time for renewal of relationships, ending the relationships and starting new ones. You need to clearly voice your expectations about what kind of relationship you want. There could be tensions around children, especially related to their health. All those in education, you might be confused about the direction that you need to take. The courses that you wanted to begin, you might lose interest in them, and now you don't really know what is it that you want to do. But don't be dejected, because this clarity will come to you soon. Mars, the ruler of Mrigashira Nakshatra, where the eclipse is happening, is in the 7th house, aspected by Saturn. There's a lot of tension in your partnerships and with your spouse. You feel that your partners don't understand you, they don't get you, and it could lead to serious fights. You think you think you're right, which is probably the case, but it's a good idea to hold your peace, at least till Mars transits out of the sign of Cancer on 19th of July. Things will be easier post that. Now let's see what's happening with Aquarius. Aquarius ascendant and moon sign, which is denoted by number 11 in your horoscope. This eclipse is happening in the 4th house. And the dispositor of the Mrigashira Nakshatra, where this eclipse is happening, Mars, is in your 6th house, aspected by Saturn from the 12th house. Since this eclipse is happening in your 4th house, there could be a change in your home situation. You're buying a new house or shifting one. Your old property might go under reconstruction, or you're going to completely redo your house in an entirely different way. This will be a sudden decision. There is a lot of discord in relationships at home as of now for some of you. It is possible that the changes you want to do might hit a roadblock. But don't worry. But don't worry too much. Things will start to shift. And these changes that you want to incorporate will happen by November, when the 2nd solar eclipse of the year is happening. There could be tensions with the spouse, so be careful of that. Mother's health and relationships with mother might be a cause of concern. She might be going through some difficult time herself. Mars, the ruler of Mrigashira, where this eclipse is happening, is in your 6th house, aspected by Saturn. It gives you a tremendous amount of ability to face opposition and challenges. Be careful that you do not spoil your health with all the tensions that you might be facing as of now. Your long distance travel plans will see the light of the day. You need to be a little bit more patient. Now let's see what's happening with Pisces, Lagna and Moon sign. For Pisces ascendant and Moon sign, which is denoted by number 12 in your horoscope, this eclipse is happening in the third house. And the dispositor of the nakshatra where the eclipse is happening, which is Mars, it is sitting in your fifth house, aspected by Saturn from your 11th house. Now let's put this together. What does that mean? Now, since this eclipse is happening in your third house, it could mean major changes in relationships with your siblings, and siblings, mostly younger siblings. Relationships with them might have been strained, but open communication is the key. There could be a discord with your neighbors and close friends, and unfortunately, it will have a direct impact on your family life. Don't be too worried though, since you do not have a complete picture in front of you. As the months go by, you will know the cause and the solution for all the challenges that you have been facing. Be careful of what you say, because you are going to be very compulsive, and what you say might strain your relationship with your spouse. Interested in business, they might have to let go of some idea they were very hopeful of, as it's not working. But between now and November this year, when the next solar eclipse happens, you will have new creative insights about some different work which will fructify and bring you a lot of success and financial abundance. Some of you might start some home business as well. Now, since Mars, the ruler of Mrigashira Nakshatra, where this eclipse is happening, is in your fifth house, aspected by Saturn, this will cause concern about children's health and education. You will have a lot of creative ideas, but all of them might not take off, and they might not be practical. You will have gains, but they will come in slowly. It is not a good time to speculate. Do not invest your money in risky ventures or play the stock market. So this is it, my dear friends. This is my analysis of what the solar eclipse is going to do in all the signs. I hope you enjoyed it. Do remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for your time. Bye for now.